Hey guys, I am here to get into the conversation, which was directed by Francis Ford Coppola, released in the year 1974. And this is just one of those films that's just the definition of just a masterful thriller. I mean, Coppola was really on an original perspective after the Godfather films, and in between, I should say. For a second, he just kind of made this personal kind of thriller, which is the original kind of screenplay, which I feel like just masterfully conveys paranoia and pain alike, as you just see Gene Hackman just play one of the most interestingly lonely characters I've ever seen. And again, I would say this is kind of like Coppola's Taxi Driver, I would say, in a lot of ways. This reminds me a lot of the essence of Taxi Driver, as you're just kind of getting this perfect perspective of a lonely character who he doesn't want to get close to anybody. Like, he really doesn't. But he kind of also is sort of going down this downward spiral of paranoia, which just kind of makes him go even more insane in a sense. Again, it's a lot like the Travis Taxi Driver depiction, in a lot of ways. And I feel like Harry Cole isn't really fueled by like any sort of like hatred motive. Like his loneliness is more about just possession over. He's possessed with a lot of guilt over just potential pain he might have conveyed to others. He might have haunted others. It's like he's endlessly haunted by his past, and he has so much paranoia that he kind of just believes everyone's out to get him. And it's one of the most devastating depictions I've ever seen, because in his dreams, he's just kind of got this self-loathing quality about him. But the directing is just really perfect here from start to finish. And I think Coppola just really finds this just sort of perfect amount of darkness. So it's just perfect detail-oriented perspective, you could say, in a lot of ways. It feels like it just doesn't – every moment it really counts. Every moment it's really engaging, entertaining. Also, the other film that was released this year was Chinatown, 1974. This reminds me a lot of that Chinatown kind of perspective as well. And it's just completely original in Coppola's filmography, honestly. It doesn't remind me of The Godfather. It doesn't really remind me of Apocalypse Now. It's just sort of on its own lane, but it's equally perfect as those two films, or as those projects are, honestly. Also reminds me a lot of, like, I know it's heavily influenced by Michelangelo and Antonioni, especially Blowout. I can easily see that. It reminds me of a lot of Zabriskie Point as well. And seems like a foreshadow to a lot of Brian De Palma, especially by way of Blowout. And I really love this depiction here. It just kind of feels like Hackman is extremely obsessive and paranoid. You just kind of can't turn off this just thing that's just driving him crazy. And it's a perfectly made thriller from start to finish. Strongly recommended all throughout.